My name is Ann Gristovich, and I am turning 60 this year. About a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I've always exercised, always been about the same size, always fit, didn't have any symptoms, had done a 60-mile walk with my daughter over 4 days, like 4 months before that, felt great. But woke up in the middle of the night one night and had these terrible chest pains, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm having a heart attack. My mom had passed away of a heart attack. They wouldn't go away, and then finally they dissipated, and I kind of procrastinated until about 10 o'clock in the morning and thought, oh, maybe I'll call my internist. And she said, get in the car now and drive to the nearest emergency room, which I did. And so they did a battery of tests on me and said, nope, everything's fine with your heart, you're just having indigestion, and gave me Prilosec. So I went home and said, hey, I'm good, I just have some indigestion. So I took the Prilosec, and about 10 days into the Prilosec, I said to myself, I think I'm having a reaction. My hands were itching, my head was itching, my feet. I just felt very odd, and so I stopped taking the Prilosec. And then about 4 days after that, I turned a lovely shade of yellow. So my eyes turned yellow, my skin tone was all yellow, so I was manifesting. At first they thought hepatitis, so they tested me for all the forms of hepatitis. I did not have that. And but I still was jaundiced. And so at that point, luckily my internist was also very good. She only waited out about 4 days and said, listen, there's something going on. You need to see a gastroenterologist. So was able to get me in right away. And he set me up for a CAT scan. And pancreatic cancer all cancer is sneaky, but pancreatic cancer happens to be one of the sneakiest ones, and it clothes itself in a ton of good cells. It's very hard to see unless you do have a CT scan. And so it gets misdiagnosed a lot of times because people have sort of these generic symptoms. You have indigestion, or you might be, your blood sugar might be a little bit high, so they'll think you're pre-diabetic, and so they treat those, not recognizing that actually you have a tumor or several tumors in your pancreas that's causing this issue. So, but because mine, when the CAT scan came back, it turns out mine was growing against my bile duct. So it closed off the bile duct, which then caused me to back up into the liver and turn yellow. So I am very glad, because as my surgeon said, it could have easily have grown the other direction. There's just no rhyme or reason for it. So literally from 2 weeks from diagnosis, I went into surgery. I had a great surgeon. What I didn't know at the time, which I found out later, that it is one of the most complicated surgeries that surgeons do. You really want to have somebody who does quite a few of these. So luckily, I was in the Scripps system, and they referred me through to really, there's kind of one primary surgeon who does them. And original diagnosis was I would be in the hospital for 5 to 10 days. Basically, the surgery, it's called the Whipple. They remove the portion of your pancreas. So they removed a third of my pancreas, which had the tumor in it. They remove a portion of your stomach, they remove your bile duct, they remove your gallbladder, and they remove a portion of your small intestines, and then put you all back together again and hope that everything starts working. I was extraordinarily fortunate in that my surgery went very well. I came out with clean margins. So people that are diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, about 85% of them, it's already metastasized and it is inoperable. And so that's what you hear mostly about those people. There's not a lot they can do but palliative care, and the outcomes have not been very good. About 15% of the people, it is operable, and of the whole pool, only about 3 to 5% come out with clean margins. So of a not great diagnosis, my prognosis is relatively good. Now, that's not to say it is a highly recurrent cancer, so you have to be vigilant. But I came home from the hospital after 5 days, so I didn't have to spend the whole 10 days. I was very fortunate in that. And things went along pretty speedily. Within 4 weeks of coming out of surgery, they want you to start chemo. And so I started my first round of chemo, which was an infused chemo. I have a port put in because chemo can collapse your veins, and so I have a port in for that. And I did, it's a dose of 18 treatments, so I did 18 treatments. About 2/3 through my set of treatments, my sister-in-law sent me an article on nutrition. She had cancer as well, and over to the side was this little link to pancreatic cancer. And up to that point, my husband, who's a chem engineer, had done all of the research. I've had a tremendous support group. But I thought, I'm feeling pretty strong. I'm feeling good. So I pressed on that button. And it was fortuitous because up came a link to a recent study that had been done in Europe. And Europe is adopting a new pancreatic cancer protocol, of a double drug protocol. And so I spoke to my oncologist, who originally was like, well, I don't know, you're getting standard of care. And I said, well, I really feel strongly about this. And so I finished my original set of chemo and then went on and did another 5 months. Even though the studies of the drugs taken together, I was not going to be able to do that because I'd almost finished my original chemo, so I took it afterwards. So I did another 5 months of chemo. I just found out about somebody else who's been diagnosed with almost the same condition that I have, and that's what they're using as a double drug chemo now. So I'm hoping that taking mine sequentially is going to be as effective as taking it together, but we'll have to see. It is, as I said, it's something you have to be. I have CAT scans every 3 months, and probably we'll do that at least through 2 to 3 years, and then it may move out to 6 months, and then but always like once a year be checked. I mean, that's just kind of that's what it is with this ugly disease. But getting back to talking about support is that I was very fortunate. I've lived in this community. I lived in where I lived for a long time. I had great support groups, and I think that is a huge difference in your recovery. I had people that really cared, and people stepped up with different things. Some people brought food, I have a friend whose daughter had cancer, and she said, I can't go with you to infusion because people went with me to infusion, but how about we do yoga? And I said, well, I don't know. I've never done yoga. I don't know. It's kind of free. It's not really me. And she said, no. Let me do some research. And so up she came with the Cancer Recovery Yoga through Be Well. And it has been really life-altering for me that I'm a person who tends to be constantly on the go, just always busy. And it's an hour that I slow life down, and supported by everybody who's there. They're wonderful. And I don't know, because I've never been to a different yoga class, so I don't know if this is different, but I love they always have a positive mantra, and then the aromatherapy and a little bit of massage, and it just has been really, really helpful for me. And the other thing that's a total unexpected benefit is the concept of deep breathing. I had never done anything like that. I find that I use that whenever I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm having trouble going back to sleep. Before I go to sleep, I use it. I do the 5 deep breaths, and I say to myself, I am, and in my case, peaceful is what I happen to use as this sort of mantra for me, and I have found it really, truly to be a change in my life. I had always had problems sleeping. I don't have problems sleeping anymore. I'm probably one of the few people that comes out and says, no, I slept really well through my chemo. I mean, I was just fortunate, and I was fortunate that I had this friend who said, come on, let's do this. This is going to be great. So I've continued on with that, and as I said, I just met somebody else who has the same thing that I have, and I'm recommending to her that she also do this. In terms of physical limitations, by the time I got to yoga, I was pretty good. My doctor says I'll never be more than probably 70% in terms of abdominal, because they cut you from just under your breastbone all the way down to your navel, and sometimes further than that depending on the procedure and the doctor who's doing it. So, there's occasional twinge, but in general, the stretching has been good for me. I kind of reached the point. I think there was some scar tissue, and I think it was good to do the gentle stretching. I think it really helped. I'm a little careful on my port. Some twisting can kind of aggravate it, so I try not to. I try to be aware of that, and I let them know when they're doing any massage that I do have a port in, so that they don't inadvertently hit it, because that would not be a good thing. But yoga for me has been really just great, and a great way to recover. I've just been doing a bunch of reading, and they were talking about, and even my oncologist is telling me this, that exercise is the best thing, to keep moving, and particularly walking and yoga are the things that come up as being really beneficial to your mental well-being and your physical well-being, and maybe really overcoming cancer, maybe maximizing the chemo that I've had, and the surgery and everything else. And diet, of course, that's important, and drinking lots of water. But I hope this has been helpful. I hope that I hope we cure it and they don't have a lot more pancreatic cancer patients in Be Well, but if they do, I think yoga's a great thing to do.